Now to Nigeria, because President Akufo-Addo, as we understand, is with other West African leaders there, locked up in a meeting in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, deliberating on the political situation in Niger. The president last week agreed to a collective decision by West African sub-regional body ECOWAS to deploy military troops to restore constitutional order if the presidential guard in Niger, which ousted democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum, does not reinstate him within 1 week. Attempts have been made this week to dialogue with the military. That has failed, raising concerns that President Akufo-Addo and other leaders may opt for military action. Addressing a gathering at the start of the ECOWAS summit, which is underway in Nigeria, Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who doubles as the chairperson of the ECOWAS leaders, noted that all measures will be exhausted in order to restore constitutional order. We'll hear from the Nigerian president shortly, but Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa is still with us. Honorable, just seeing pictures there of President Akufo-Addo arriving earlier this morning, but that meeting is still underway. In any moment from now, I'm sure deliberations will end, and then they would have to make that final decision to go into Niger with military troops. And I've spoken to the defense minister already, who's told us that Ghana stands ready to deploy its military to support that exercise. Your ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee, would you support that?
Let me come to this in a jiffy. And since we are now in the international arena, I just wanted to point out that this Cecilia Dapa matter also has far-reaching international consequences. If you take the report on her ministry in Parliament, Parliament observed that about 93% of the budget, the allocation to her ministry, is being sponsored by the donor community. So if you have more than 90% of your funds being donor funds, and this is the kind of conduct, this is the news emanating from the ministry, from your stewardship, you should begin to imagine that these countries, their taxpayers are going to be deeply worried, they are going to be demanding answers, and it's going to have a ripple effect on the entire Ghanaian economy. They are not likely to have the appetite to keep giving us donor assistance for, this kind of conduct and this kind of revelations, to continue. So that's a space we need to begin watching, how the donor community responds, because that is a ministry that was heavily donor funded. More than 90% of their funds came from the donors, and yet this is the kind of scorecard that the minister's conduct is putting across. So I just thought that I'd bring that, since we are now in the international arena, we bring that up for consideration. Now let me come to Niger. Blessing, we have put out a statement. When I say we are party, we have put out a statement stating clearly that we believe in dialogue, we believe in constructive dialogue, tactful diplomacy. We do not think that an ECOWAS military intervention should be considered now. It was put on the table too early, and that is what even has made the coup peace to be entrenched. And if you have observed, they even turned away ECOWAS negotiators yesterday and all of that. We are of the view that a military intervention should be taken off the table now, and let us see more dialogue. When we have constructive dialogue, we can agree, all of us can agree on a blueprint or a roadmap towards the return to constitutional order. We all do not support military takeovers. We don't want to return to the era of coups. We want democracy to be entrenched. But you see, as we talk about democracy, we must all begin to reflect on why the democratic dividend is not bearing fruit. Why is it that too many African people are living in poverty, unemployment, lack of opportunity? See how many people are dying trying to cross the Mediterranean into Europe. So these coups are a reflection of failed leadership. Democracy hasn't worked. Leaders have been too corrupt. Leaders have been too bankrupt in ideas, in vision. They have been clueless. And that is what has plunged the continent into this state of despair, this state of despondency, this state of lack and abject poverty. So as we discuss Niger, we must look at the broader concept of democracy yielding the necessary fruits that will improve the lot of the African people. And not until we go back to address the fundamental issues, why democracy is failing and why these democratically elected leaders appear to be continuing with the neo-colonial entanglement. If you look at the case of Niger, you have France continuously, really exploiting them. The colonialists have never really left, and they are signing all kinds of uranium agreements which do not really benefit the people, only a few ruling elites. So these are the fundamental issues that have to be addressed. They are the causes of the instability that we are seeing. The coups, the violent insurgencies, and all the extremists who are taking over. It is because they are exploiting all of these fault lines. And that is the discussion that we want to hear our ECOWAS leaders have and address. If we don't do that, the coups are going to continue. I mean, I see on the horizon a few more, even before the year ends, if we do not see a radical shift, a new paradigm of development on the continent.
I was asking the question about Ghana's decision and our position on this matter, and to contribute troops if need be. Would you support that from the parliamentary side?
First of all, I want to state very, very strongly, without any equivocation, that we condemn the approach of the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government. They should have subjected all of these matters to a full-blown parliamentary debate. Look at what is happening even in Nigeria. Despite the president's decision, the Senate is debating these matters and even departing from the president's decision. Other countries are subjecting this major decision to a parliamentary debate, a parliamentary vote for a parliamentary resolution. That is what is done in a democracy. Why is it that President Akufo-Addo, he just gets off and he goes there communicating a Ghanaian position? How did he arrive at that Ghanaian position? Has there been a debate? Has there been national consensus? Has there been a certain bipartisan approach? No. That is why in the statement that the NDC put out yesterday, signed by the General Secretary, we are calling on the President to come back to Ghana, come to Parliament, that's where the people's representatives are. Let's have a debate, and then we can know what really the Ghana position is and what direction we should take as a country. As it is now, it is only the President who purports to be, and you see the irony is that you are going out there to lecture others on democracy. But in your country, back at home, you are not following democratic tenets. Democracy demands that such major, look, we are talking about deployment of troops. Soldiers can be killed. They are not going to, for a tea party. They are not going to present a bouquet of flowers. They are going to war. Lives will be lost. And then, who is going to fund that war? It is the Ghanaian people, the Ghanaian taxes. Have we discussed this? Have we debated it? Have we been told how much it will cost us? And do we, even the state of this economy, at a time that we are going through a domestic debt exchange program, all of these financial haircuts, pensioner bondholders, contractors are owed over 15 billion cedis, school feeding caterers are owed, NAPCO trainees are owed, everybody is owed. This is Assembly Common Fund, MP's Common Fund. Government says they don't have the money. Are we sure we can find money to pay our troops to go to war?
Are you suggesting that?
And shouldn't such a major issue be brought to Parliament, where the people's representatives are, for us to do a full consideration of the matters, to understand the full parameters, the consequences of such a decision?
Are you then suggesting that no sort of meetings were held between the Foreign Affairs Committee and the Ministry, or by extension the Presidency?
Not one. And that is shocking. That is shocking. Not one, not a single meeting, either at the committee level or at the plenary level. And that is not democracy. Look, this is a major decision with far-reaching consequences. Already you have our neighboring countries who are saying that they don't support war. Mali, Burkina Faso, and then Guinea. We have heard them. What will be the fallout? How are they going to react? You know, and then you have heard the military junta say that they will consider any aggression by ECOWAS a declaration of war. They stand in readiness to defend themselves. There's going to be a bloodbath. So the horizon doesn't look good. This is a major decision which should be brought to Parliament for a parliamentary discussion and a parliamentary resolution, so that the President will have the sense of the country, the direction of the country, and then he will have a legitimate mandate. As he goes to hold these ECOWAS meetings and all these declarations of war and threats of military intervention and all of that, the Defense Ministry says that they are standing by to deploy troops. Is that how troops are deployed? What does the Constitution say about deployment of troops, about declaration of war? I mean, these are major decisions which should be brought to Parliament at the very least for a parliamentary debate, a parliamentary resolution. And I am really appalled that none of this has been done, and the President continues to go out there to purport to be speaking on behalf of Ghana when no Ghanaian position really has been crystallized democratically so far as this Niger crisis is concerned.
Okay, but since we are picking lessons from the likes of Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, what steps should we be taking to safeguard our democracy? Just yesterday, I was playing that sound of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbe, indicating that in Ghana, what we may experience, in his view, will be social unrest. That's his personal opinion on what's happening.
Yes, and the Speaker's opinion should not be taken lightly. You know that he's the most experienced legislator, and he's been around for a very long time. And those of them who have seen all kinds of military interventions in Ghana, when they speak, you should listen to them. And what the Speaker is pointing to is even worse. You see, when there is a military coup, the soldiers have their targets. They will come for leaders, they will leave the people, and even that they have a command, there is a hierarchy, they can decide what they want to do with the few people that they arrest. But if it is a social upheaval, if it is a people's uprising, a mass uprising, that one is leaderless. You don't have any military command in control. And everybody is at risk. Everybody is fair target. So that prospect even frightens me more than a coup. We've seen what happened with the Arab Spring from Egypt to Tunisia, Algeria, and all of that. We saw the consequences. So these warnings should really come to us as timely, and leadership must rise up and be more responsive. And that is why I really worry about the revelations surrounding this Cecilia Dapa matter and how it could even be then seen as, oh, all the politicians are like that, all the politicians are the same. When we are all not the same, we all don't do that. All of us do not have that kind of money, you know, under our bed. But how are you going to prove that?
Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa doesn't have $12 million? Is that what you're telling me?
How? I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Are you sure about this?
I don't even know how it looks like. Please. I don't even know how it looks like. You know, and you see the question you ask, that is the danger, that is the threat. You know, now all politicians are at risk. Look, you are even going to begin to see all kinds of robberies, all kinds of attacks because of this development. And we are not safe. You know, so what Speaker Bagbe has warned about is a matter that we shouldn't take lightly. And all of us, the entire political leader, that is why you see presidents should not be on a frolic of their own, making declarations on behalf of Ghana. Let democracy work. Let us bring these matters to Parliament. Let's have a national debate. Let us discuss thoroughly Are we sure that this is the best approach? Shouldn't we rather encourage constructive dialogue? Shouldn't we adopt a more diplomatic rapprochement and then cut down on the bombastic language, the talk of violence and all of that? And you see, people are even beginning to raise questions about fairness and discrimination and all of that. Why was that not done in Guinea? Why was that not done in Mali? Why was that not done in Burkina Faso? You know, so let's have cool heads, take control, and let us opt for a democratic path moving forward. And I must insist that these matters should be brought to the Ghanaian parliament. Look, even though we are on recess, we can have, this is such an important matter that the speaker will hurriedly convene an emergency session. Every country, look, even wars in other countries, you hear House of Commons meeting on the kind of support they should send, the British should send to Ukraine. The U.S. Congress has met time without number to pass resolutions on the kind of support to send to Ukraine, even though it is really not their war and they are only supporting as allies. So how is it that in Ghana, our president, without any parliamentary resolution, can be talking about deploying troops, military intervention, and our parliament is not playing any role at all? No committee has been engaged. The plenary has not debated these matters. Please, we can't go out there lecturing others on democracy when we are not following democratic tenets back home.
Grateful. Honorable, your final thoughts on all that you've said today, especially as we await the outcome. The decision will eventually be for ECOWAS to decide if they want to use the military option or otherwise. What's your final take on the expected announcement that we'll be hearing?
I hope that the heads of state will rather opt for further diplomatic exchanges. There has to be negotiation. There has to be a peaceful resolution. I do not think that the use of force will help us. It's going to lead to a bloodbath. Already, we are talking about a fragile region. That is a territory that you have all of these violent extremists in the Sahel who have made that place their base. You have Al-Qaeda there, you have ISIS there. Then you also have military, U.S. military base. You have French troops also standing by. It will be seen as a proxy war. You are going to have all of these external actors. It's going to be such a messy situation. And I do not think that that is the best way forward. I want to see constructive dialogue. I want to see further diplomatic engagement. That should be the way forward. And then let's get the military junta to agree to a roadmap, so that within the next few weeks or few months, they can return to constitutional democratic order. But even more fundamentally, I want the heads of state to start talking about why is it that coups have become so popular? Why has democracy failed? Why have the people become so disenchanted that anytime these coups occur, see the mass approval, the praises that are showered on these coup leaders, the mass celebration that occurs on the streets of all of these countries. These leaders should start a genuine introspection. They must begin to reflect on how they have failed, how governance has been so terrible that the people now are beginning to look up to the military for salvation. These are the fundamental issues we expect the leaders to be addressing.
Grateful for your time here on the Pulse, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Blakwa, and you're just seeing pictures there of the venue that's hosting all of these West African leaders, including President Akufo-Addo, who's also present at that meeting. Earlier, at the start of the engagement, Nigeria's president, who chairs the ECOWAS Authority Heads of State, has been delivering a speech indicating that the one-week ultimatum did not work. However, ECOWAS is willing to exhaust all means in restoring constitutional order in Niger.
No need to go back to the history and discussions that led us to this far. I want to thank my colleague and head of state, some of them are in vacation. They canceled their vacation to respond to this invitation this morning. And they have kept faith with us, with democracy, freedom, and economic development, not only of ECOWAS region, but the African continent as a whole. Today we gather with profound sense of urgency and firm determination, building upon the commitment made during our first extraordinary summit on the grave political crisis befalling our sister nation. During that initial meeting, we voiced our solidarity with the people of Niger and their democratically elected president, His Excellency Mohamed Bazoum, by condemning the military takeover and the unjust detention of their democratically elected president and other officials. As you may recall, we called the junta to rescind the decision of them toppling a democratically elected government. We proceeded to impose sanctions with the hope that this resolute measure will serve as a catalyst for the restoration of the constitutional order in Niger. Regrettably, the 7-day ultimatum we issued during the first summit has not yielded the desired outcome. We have also made diligent effort through the deployment of various ECOWAS mediation teams. I'm glad Abdul Salam Abubakar is here. His Eminence is here. Babad Kanogingipe is here to give you their report and their observation during the intervention. I must, on behalf of every one of you, show gratitude to them, patriotism and dedication, sealed for which they have responded to the assignment to intervene and bring peace, stability back to Niger. They have feasted Libya, Algeria, and they were received by leaders there. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, following the resolution of our previous extraordinary summit to initiate a meeting of ECOWAS Chief of Defense Staff, the meeting of the Chief of Defense Staffs was duly held from 2nd to 4th of August 2023. The outcome of that meeting, as well as a memorandum by the President of the ECOWAS Commission on current socio-political development in Niger, will be presented during this summit. This will offer critical insight that will inform our collective decision-making process at this meeting. Today's summit provides a significant opportunity for meticulously reviewing and assessing the progress made since our last gathering. it is essential to evaluate the effectiveness of our interventions and identify any gaps or challenges that may have hindered progress. Only through this comprehensive assessment can we collectively chart a new sustainable path towards lasting peace, stability, and prosperity in Niger. More so, in reaffirming our relentless commitment to democracy, human rights, and the well-being of the people of Niger, it is crucial that we prioritize diplomatic negotiations and dialogue as the bedrock of our approach. We did. In honest discussion to convince them to relinquish power as suggested and reinstate President Bazoum. It is our duty to exhaust all avenues of engagement to ensure a swift return to constitutional governance in Niger. More specifically, as leaders of our respective nations, we must recognize that the political crisis in Niger not only poses a threat to the stability of the nations, but also has far-reaching implications for the entire West African region. By remaining steadfast in our adherence to the principle of democracy, good governance, and the rule of law, we can restore peace, stability, and prosperity in the Republic of Niger, thereby fostering an environment conducive for growth and development for all. Esteemed Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm confident that the second ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit today on the socio-political situation in Niger will be a defining moment in our journey towards a stronger, more resilient, and integrated West Africa. Let us seize this opportunity to make a lasting impact on the lives of our fellow Africans. Who else can do it except us? We must resolve to do it ourselves, and we are the only one. I extend my gratitude to each of you for your attention to this critical issue. I trust that our deliberation will be productive and fruitful, leading us to finding an amicable solution.
And we'll be keeping our eyes on that deliberation as it unfolds in Nigeria. We'll bring you updates as and when we have them for you. This is The Pulse on the Joy News channel. When we return, the Bank of Ghana has come under intense criticism for making some huge losses, but the bank is fighting back, explaining their position on the matter. We'll take you live to the headquarters of the BOG and get you some updates. We'll tell you what.